Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. I'm your host, PattSun, and today we're gonna be taking a look at r/infidelity, where OP stayed way too long in a way too toxic engagement. Let's begin. I got cheated on after 10 years. Posted by Reddit user Solid Salt.
I don't know why I am writing this, either to go or to seek advice. I just need to pour it out somewhere. I've tried to make the post shorter, but it just didn't feel right. I got cheated by my fiancé. We met at college more than 10 years ago. We started dating, and after 4 years together, we've decided to start living together. We've both had some low-paying jobs and were barely making ends meet. The rent and bills were high altogether, big as my paycheck, but we didn't mind it. When we look back at that time, we always found it funny how once we didn't have almost anything to eat one day, and we had a bag of soup that previous tenants left that we avoided because it was some Turkish brand. We got engaged a few months after, since her parents were a bit on the old school side and wanted it to be somewhat official. I didn't mind it. I proposed and we were happy for some time. Point break, we got pregnant and aborted. We were both scared and confused on what to do. I would say I was even more scared and panicked as I was young, taking life for granted, enjoying it without many obligations, and just couldn't see myself as a father figure or anything resembling that. We were poor and both had shitty jobs and trying to find better ones. So after lots of talking, we decided to get an abortion. Honest to say, after that and still to this day, I think that was one of the biggest mistakes I have made. I am saying that because I feel guilty and responsible for it. If I had swayed to keep the baby, I am positive she would do that. Every now and then the thought pops up in my mind and I try to process it. I regret that decision every time, looking how stupid and young I was. Sometimes it crushes me so bad I burst into tears, wishing I could travel back and smack my younger self into some sense. After that, things started going downhill for some time. She was mad at me and said she refuses to have sex with me for forever. I was broken, not because of the sex thing, but because of how angry she was and how what we did was a big mistake. But I wasn't going to let everything slide downhill. So I thought if I give her some time and attention, maybe we can smooth things out, step by step, trying to make everything like it was before, and it gave some results. After some time, things started getting better. We've both found new jobs, still not paying very well, but we had an opportunity to climb the ladder which we didn't have before. We've moved out to a smaller and cheaper apartment, and bit by bit we started to build our own nest. Both our families helped out and it was starting to look better. But in all of that, both of us became passive in our relationship. She had shitty working hours. It was something like a mid-shift covering day and nighttime. So when I wake up to go to work, she would be firm asleep, and when I came home, I would still have 5 to 6 hours until she came home. But 2 to 3 hours after that I would need to go to sleep since I have to wake up early. I would try to stay awake as long as possible so I can spend some time with her, but most of the time I would just fall asleep on the couch. I also started drinking usually. Since I come home from work till she is back, I wasn't getting blackout drunk, but it was a lot. Our sex life was getting worse and worse. We would have sex every few months. I wanted to, but she would never initiate it. I always tried kissing, petting, sweet-talking her, but 99% of the time it would be, "Don't touch that part of my skin, I get rash, no, my face is sensitive, you'll dirty my hair," etc. All of that made me frustrated and I didn't know what else to do, but I thought, hey, it's gonna get better. Give her some space, try to make her feel special. And I tried. I've started cooking more, trying to make her dinner every time she comes home, buying her presents often. I was constantly trying to find her something nice to wear, new perfume, little things she likes. Many times I've made her custom things from her favorite movie or book. We never talked about our feelings much except when we had fights. Fights would be minor, like dirty dishes, me forgetting to do something. They would escalate quickly, but after few days, we would be good as new. First breakup. 2 years ago she wanted to break up. We had a serious talk. She wasn't pleased about our sex life and how I've gotten lazy. Basically our life was passive, spending time home and going somewhere on the weekend. We've talked about having a baby and started talking about the idea of buying our own place or house as soon as I pay my bank loan. Getting married, and we said we will work things out, but not much has changed. She would still have the same reaction when I touched her. She would often just sigh when we are watching TV, and when I ask her what's the matter, she would say, "I don't know, I feel sad." No matter how many times I asked, "Do you want to talk about it? Can you explain those feelings to me? Can I do something?" She would say she doesn't feel like talking about it. And once she even got pissed as hell after I asked her to tell me what's wrong 10 times in a row. We've often talked about getting married. Even though I wanted to marry the love of my life, I was kinda scared about it. I was fatter than before and anxious just thinking about it. My family is not so easygoing and I was scared that it would make some sort of bad picture of me. I know, I am ashamed of this. Then we got hooked on the idea to have baby and build our own house. Well, the sex was still an issue, but I figured out we have now the same common goal and maybe if we started working about it, it will make things for the better. I have less than 2 years left on my loan, and we've figured out after that I'll take another one and take the first step into making our own little nest. We've started looking for ideas, looking for places where we can do it cheap, etc. Second breakup. Less than a year ago she decided to split up. She said she felt like I don't listen to her, like I don't care about her, like her life has passed and she wasted it with me. First, she was telling me that the past few years were a waste of time, then the past 4 years, then as more and more we talked, she told me that only the first few years were good, everything else was a waste of time. That we both love each other but as friends, that we just got used to being together, even though I didn't feel like that. We've both come to the point where we knew that everything started with the abortion, and that our problem was lack of communication. She said that she wanted to get married, have a baby, and we did none of those. Then when I told her that how did she plan to have a baby when I am not allowed to touch her, she said she didn't feel like having sex with me for the past few years and she decided she wasn't gonna have it. When I asked her is there anyone else in her life, she told me there is a guy she is horny about, but that isn't the reason for this and she doesn't want to have anything with him. I felt crushed when she said the time with me was wasted since that wasn't my intention. I was passive, but this was the person I wanted to spend time with. We cried together and I was comforting her that she was right to do that. I tried everything for her to give us another chance, but that was it. I said I am going to move out as soon as I can and slept on the couch. Our relation for that time was pretty much cold, avoiding each other, but sometimes we would order food and watch movies. The cheating. A few weeks later, she said she is going with colleagues out of town on some business trip for a few days. She came back and most of the time she just wouldn't come out of the room. I couldn't sleep for a week, so I finally decided to have one last talk to see if she changed her mind or can I do anything to smooth things out. I felt she was weird and kinda lost when talking. I pressured her into talking, and finally she burst crying and telling me that she cheated me on her business trip with some colleague who lives in another town. I was furious. We both stayed home that day from work. What she told me was that she had met him once a few months ago. They started chatting and she liked him. What she admitted was that she has been chatting with him for some time, and he gave her all the attention that she was lacking. Even though I was the one always tiptoeing around her, sending her messages, and calling her whenever I can just to see how she is and what's she doing. I asked her what were they talking about all that time. It was like everything. How he wants to spend the rest of his life with her, how he wants to bed her, etc. She was begging me to forgive her, that she will do anything just to make this past us. She even offered sex the same day. A few days later, her phone rings at late night and she ended the call. Then she put on her jacket and said she's going to the store. I said to her to show me who called. Then she started panicking and said it was him, that she just wanted to get out to tell him to leave her alone. Huge fight again. I just couldn't handle all of that, so I started taking some pills to calm me down and aspirin, since my heart felt like it's about to burst. After a week we started talking. I tried to push myself to see if I can forgive her. I just wanted that dream of a house and kid with the love of my life not to be a dream anymore. To shorten this part, we've decided to give it a shot. Give it 3 to 4 months to see if we can make it work.
That's stupid! You're stupid! Stop being stupid!
Some days we would just chill trying to pretend nothing has happened, and some days we would talk a lot. Most of the time it would end up in a huge mess, yelling at each other and sometimes laughing. The thing is that usually we would talk about all the bad stuff I did. Whenever we would start talking about the cheating part, she would just say I am sorry, it wasn't supposed to happen, I made a mistake. Last time she told me I am done feeling guilty about that. I said what? I had so you can take it like that. Whenever I pointed out that I wanted to see the messages, she said she wasn't ready, and after some time, that she doesn't want me to see it. When I asked her who else knows about it, she said none, but pressuring her into talking again, I knew who could have an influence on her. A friend, which recently broke up also with a long-term boyfriend, and her colleague, which she always described as slutty and dumb, whom she spent more time than usual during those few months of chatting. And guess what? Both of them knew about it, or as she would say, they know about him and that she likes him, but nothing else. But I knew that they were her go-to girls for pep talk. Then one night her phone was unlocked and I just typed the name of the game on Viber and it opened a chat with her sister and a chat with her best friend. I said that she was lying, and she told me that in the chat with her best friend was mentioned her brother with the same name, and the chat with her sister that she was consulting her on how to end the conversation with that guy and that she was giving her guidance, which of course I don't believe for a second. The ending. Well, that's it. We tried talking a few times. At the end she just said she is tired of talking. She doesn't want to risk it if it's going to pay out or not. She doesn't want to talk about it anymore because it makes her cry and it's hard because we always fight. I am done also. I am moving out. I just wanted to try everything. But for these few months, she didn't try one thing to improve the way we communicate or anything that we agreed that we are going to do. Be more open, honest, not so hard on each other, etc. Honestly, I wanted just to went and write a few sentences to get some advice or motivation. But as soon as I started writing, I just couldn't keep it simple or short as I wanted to explain the whole situation so you can make judgment for yourself. Since I feel that boo-hoo, she cheated, it's her fault, just wasn't the right thing to write.
And then, we have this comment exchange between OP and a handful of other Reddit users.
Wow, you were such a simp in this relationship. Why would any guy put up with this bullshit she gave you for so long? You allowed her to treat you like shit and you kept coming back for more? Damn. Have some self-respect for yourself in your next relationship. Totally agree. One thing, man, all of this is because she is a horrible human. The only thing you did wrong was putting up with it for so long. Everything that happened is on her. Never love someone so much that you become their slave again. I get it, man. I completely agree with you. I just kind of felt bad and responsible for the stuff before I kind of forgot I have also my side of story. End it. OP, just pull the trigger and be done with her. I am also a bit of an asshole. Here is how I would end it. I would put myself back out there and find someone who is ready to have sex with me, enough talking and possible meetups. Then I would plan a nice evening out and would get dressed up, and when she asks where I am going, I would simply respond, I have a date, so don't wait up, as I likely won't be home. Oh, and we are done. Then I would walk out the door. Good one. I just don't want to waste any more time on this. I am currently searching for an apartment. Decided to move out even if it's in a cardboard box under a bridge. And today is the 3rd week of hitting the gym, yay for me. Good job. Now download Tinder and other apps and get to know some women. It will take some time, but preoccupy yourself. Then when it is within the window of time, you moving out, etc., do just that. But again, I am a bit of an asshole, faithful until I don't need to be because I don't need a woman, I want one, but I also know I have options. Also, learn Grey Rock and 180. You really need to leave and burn the boats on your way out. She is toxic and a serial cheater. Make sure there is no going back even if you have a weak moment. Tell her off. Tell everyone you and her know. Make sure there is no possibility of return. You've been a nice guy way too long. Time to take the gloves off to protect your future self from his moments of doubt.
Viewer support is the best way for me to remain independent and continue bringing you these daily videos, which will always be here on my channels for you to watch absolutely free. So please consider subscribing to me on Rumble and on YouTube. Both will be linked in the description box down below. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you even somewhat enjoyed today's story, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and if you really like it, consider subscribing to PattSun to never miss a future upload. Stay strong.